Thank you, Gun Interactive, for providing a copy of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Asymmetrical multiplayer games. These games, if you're familiar, are pretty popular, and the most notable one probably being Dead by Daylight, coming out back in 2016 and still being supported with a very active fan base today. Some games have attempted this model of gameplay like Friday the 13th, which, side note, was also published by Gun Interactive, and Predator Hunting Grounds, published by Sony. But unfortunately, both have failed to keep up with the competition and failed to keep the player base engaged. That brings us to the newest addition to the genre, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is another movie-based IP used for the same type of playstyle as its predecessors. Now, I'm not going to be doing a full review, but I wanted to share my thoughts and my experience playing Texas Chainsaw Massacre and see if we can tell if this game's foundation is setting it up for better success than both Friday the 13th and Predator Hunting Grounds. So off the bat, I will say if you aren't familiar with these types of games, basically the killers have to come for the victims while they are trying to do things like gather supplies, complete puzzles, and find a way off the map. The killer's goal is to kill everyone, and the victim's goal is to escape the killers. Now, I do like this game's take on the idea where instead of one killer, we now have three. These three killers are in fact picked out of the Sawyer family members, and depending on which character you choose, you have different skills, abilities, and can access specific areas. So playing the game, I found myself more anxious than others because of the amount of killers. You just never knew when someone was going to come for you, and I think that lends itself pretty well to the type of game it is. Now, besides the killers, you can also play as the victims. This is a diverse cast of characters with their own abilities as well, like being able to unlock doors quicker, being able to sense items or people nearby, and much more. It's also cool that you can level up each character individually and add to their existing abilities for future matches. Overall, though, I think they did some good job balancing out the character cast. The environments are pretty cool. You start in one of three maps: the family's house, a gas station, or the slaughterhouse, and you always start in some sort of basement underground and make your way up. The maps are big enough where you don't feel like you can be found easily by the family members, but each area is claustrophobic enough to make you fear for when you do run into them. There are many places victims can go that take a little bit more work for the family members to get to, which is great for buying you time if you need to hide. But let's get to the gameplay. It was pretty much straightforward. In order to leave the basement, you have to find items to help you pick the locks, and then usually on the surface, you need to complete some small tasks to eventually get yourself off the property before you are killed or bleed out to death. That being said, I will say that I found the game to be pretty easy compared to the other games I've played in this genre. I'm not sure why, but in Dead by Daylight, I have literally never won a single match unless someone set up a way out and I followed. In Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I was able to win several rounds, especially when I first started playing. In some cases, I was able to just walk off the property and escape without having to complete any puzzles at all or unlock anything above the ground. I'm not really sure if that's a good or a bad thing though, because on one hand it's more accessible for more people, but on the other hand it's missing a challenge for people who enjoy these types of games. But I digress. I will, however, mention one of my favorite mechanics in the game, and that has to do with Grandpa. Yes, Grandpa. Now, when you play this game as the family members, you have to collect blood from your victims or areas around the map. When you do that, you then have to feed the blood to Grandpa, and it increases everyone's ability to sense the victims throughout the map. The more you feed them, the more you could see them. It's actually a really smart way to use Grandpa as a character, so I really appreciate what they did there, and I can't really think of anything that the other games have done that is much similar. Graphics overall are nothing to write home about. The textures are pretty on par with most games of this genre, but they aren't going to blow you away like The Last of Us Part 2 did when it came out. But that really isn't the point of these types of asymmetrical multiplayer games. The point is to challenge you, have fun working as a team, and in some cases scare the crap out of you, which I will admit I did scream out loud a few times because I'm a wimp, but I have no audio of that. But here's a clip that I think will do a good job of showing how much I screamed.
You take Oh my god!
Now, it's important to note that when playing the game, it isn't necessary to use voice chat, and I'm glad it isn't because I only ran into 2 people who were using their mics in the few hours I spent on the game. Once again though, it could be a good thing if you're antisocial like I am, but if you're trying to communicate specific tasks or jobs to do with other people, you probably won't hear back unless they stop what they're doing to type in their chat. Overall, I'm pretty divided about how I feel about this game. Like, I think the team did a great job overall, but I'm having trouble finding things that make it stand out far above other games. Sure, there are cool gimmicks that you can't find anywhere else, but will those gimmicks help bring over an audience, especially if that audience is already playing Dead by Daylight, which has had many years to improve and add to its content? It's not that I don't think this game can't improve, but I'm worried someone might pull the plug like we saw with Friday the 13th before they get to implement enough to drive an audience over there. But again, maybe the IP can be enough to have people come over? I don't know. If you are more invested in these types of games, let me know your thoughts. I am definitely going to spend some more time to round out a solid opinion on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And if you're curious to hear more about this topic, definitely check out my social media links. I'll have them in the bio. If you enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like. It lets me know that you're enjoying this type of content and helps push it in the algorithm for more people to see. And if you aren't already, make sure you are subscribed. I push out multiple videos a week on all types of games and other pop culture subjects. But anyway, I'll see you guys later for my next video.